Hi everyone, I just wanted to show you my reef tank that I've had up and running now for a couple of months. Um, it's going really well. It basically consists of this 70 litre tank and stand, which I got for a bargain price of £50 by winning an eBay auction. When I got the tank and stand, it was basically about 12 months old, and they cleaned it up really well, and it basically looked brand new. It's a Eco Style 61, and I looked it up online, and it's actually about 200 quid new, or near that price, to get all this new, so that was a real good bargain. The stand looks a bit flimsy, and I'm soon probably to replace it with a proper cabinet with some doors on, so it covers up all the stuff. But it's okay for the time being, and it is pretty sturdy, even though it does look a bit flimsy. Yeah, basically, this was my first marine tank. Didn't have a clue what to do, but basically just learnt everything as I went, and got loads of help on reefbase.co.uk, which is a really cool website, and loads of really helpful people on there. So yeah, when we got the tank, went to Maidenhead Aquatics, which is my favourite local fish shop, and we got the live rock and the sand and the water, and just went for it. This has got about 8 kilos of live rock in there. And when we got it, he said that it was like semi-cured, but when we got it home, and after about a week of it being in the water, I wasn't noticing like the cycle starting, or there being any spikes in any levels. And ultimately, it turned out after about a month that the rock seemed to be fully cured, and all the bacteria had survived, and everything was working. So I had just zero ammonia, zero nitrite, and just a small reading of nitrate, and that carried on for about a month. So basically, me and the local fish supplier just concluded that it had effectively cycled, and everything's been really good since. So like I say, I did leave the tank running with the live rock for about a month, I'd say 4 or 5 weeks, before getting anything. And then the first thing to go in was the two clowns, and they're doing really well. When they went in, they were both the same shade, but obviously the bigger one here, called Nemo, the girlfriend named him. I didn't have any say in that. I got to name the other one, who's Max, and Nemo's become the female because she was slightly bigger, and you can see her dark colour down her back. So yeah, they seem to be getting on really, really well, and I think they've grown a little bit already, actually, both of them. But yeah, they stayed in the tank for about a month, or maybe 2-3 weeks. Then after that, we got Sebastian, the Mithrax crab. You can just see him in there somewhere. He likes to hide in the rock, but he's really cool. Then a little short time after that, we got peppermint shrimp. You can just make her out there. She's apparently called Pippa the peppermint shrimp for some reason. And then of course Sky, who's our sand sifting chalk goby. She's given us a demonstration there. She's really quite cute. She's got her blue spots in her cheek. It looks like she's wearing makeup. So yeah, and actually the other day, I'm sure you might be able to see, actually, just there, tentacle of a brittle star. That was a hitchhiker. I think there's a couple in there, actually. They go mad when at feeding time. There's a few other hitchhikers, actually, that have come along. There's a few little snail. Actually, there's one up the top there. I can't remember what they're called, those snails, but they kind of have pink shells, and they're really quite fast when they get onto the glass. I have got a bit of brown algae at the moment, as you can see, which I cleaned up yesterday. But I'm hoping that will stop growing soon, because I got a new canister filter, as you can see down here, about 2 weeks ago, and that's running really well. Before I had this sort of before I had this massive lid on here which covered the whole lot. This tank wasn't really meant for marine, when I got it. So it had a big lid on the top and it was restrictive. I couldn't put any fans in or anything, so it was a nightmare. So I basically chose to take it off. Stole the light out of it, which is temporary. I want to get something a bit better so I can have some corals eventually. But that does for the time being. You know, as you can see, it's pretty bright, and everything's quite comfortable with that. So yeah, the before I had this sort of built-in filter system. You can see it online if you look up this tank, but it really wasn't very good. It was just meant for simple tropical filtration. So I took that out, and then now obviously I've got the plumbed-in canister filter on both ends. What else have I got? Now I've got a nice double. I think it's BOU. Y or BOYU or something. I think that's the brand name of that. But you know, whatever brand it is, it's just 2 fans. That's all it is. And then I've got the Tetra HT100 heater, which is more than enough for this tank. And also because it's summer, that hasn't even come on, I don't think, for a good few weeks. I've only got one little power head in the back there at the moment. That's like a cheap eBay power head pump, and it's just giving a bit of current around the tank as well as the spray bar up there. It's not enough, I know. I'm going to get a wave maker soon to put in here somewhere, which will really increase the current and make it a lot better. I've also got this little, I can't remember the brand name now, but it's a little surface skimmer, which works really well. It just sort of sits there, and it's a bit dirty at the moment, and just skims the surface, and as you can see, it's quite clear. You know, there's no residue or anything, no build up in the corners, which is quite nice. So that's working well. And I've just got an ammonia alert tag here, just so I see as soon as it happens if anything starts to go wrong. So yeah, and then obviously down the bottom I've got the canister filter. That is a I can't remember the name of it now. I'll put it in the description and you can see. Yeah, it's a Sun, that's it, a Sun HW302, I think, something like that. They're really cheap. It was the cheapest canister filter I could find, because at this point I basically used up all my budget and the budget that I didn't budget for because I didn't realise this hobby is so expensive. So yeah, this was actually about 30 quid, and it came from Germany, next day delivery. I think the shipping was free, or it's actually, no, I think it was like £10 shipping, so about 40 quid altogether. And it's really good filter. It's silent. I mean, you can hardly hear it there. I'm sure you can't even hear it at all, but it's running nicely. It's got a good flow rate. It claims to have 1100 litres per hour, but I'm not sure about that. Obviously when you get it under load, I think it decreases a bit, but you know, it's probably got a good 8 to 900 there. And yeah, running really well. I've cleaned it once already, but that's just because it was after I cleared out a load of brown algae, so I didn't really want it residing in the filter, so I just rinsed everything out with tank water, and that's yeah, so that's all good. Just electrics. I've got the lights on a timer at the moment because it's just a simple LED light, so I've got that on a 12-hour cycle, 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And then this is my pride and joy at the moment. This is a temperature controller that I built. I only finished it today, actually. Added the finishing touches of a red and a blue light. But yeah, it's the STC 1000, which is a common temperature controller that I think a lot of people use for aquariums. And it basically, you just wire in your heating and cooling as a switch. It just acts as a switch. It doesn't provide any power, so you have to do that all yourself. But I'm powering all 3 devices, so I'm powering the controller and the heater and the fans off of this one line, which is, it's more than enough. These draw hardly anything really. So yeah, added a power switch, and a little jack for the temperature probe, which as you can see, it panics when I take it out, but it's a nice little touch. And then yeah, so basically when it gets to, like, I've set it to 26.5, so if it goes down, I think it's a 0.5 margin either side, so if it goes down to 25.9 or 26 on the dot. I can't remember which it is. It will turn the heater on, and then obviously if it goes 26.9, if it goes to 27, which it could do at any second, it would turn the fans on. And that's been working really well. Really pleased with it. And also it looks pretty cool. I'm going to do a separate video for that because I want to show people how I built it, how it's wired up, and list the parts so that people can build them themselves. Or I'll just get people to pay me loads of money to build them for them. Either way. And over here, basically, we're going away tomorrow or on Friday for 2 weeks, and I've roped my girlfriend's mum into being tank sitter. She's terrified. She thinks she's going to kill the fish, and she is making me write down some detailed instructions on how to feed them and how to keep the tank topped up, because it's open top now, there's a lot of evaporation. I'm topping up almost every day, only by a few mil. I like to have it filled just to the black ridge there. Are you following me? So yeah, obviously I wanted to automate everything as much as I could, so that's why I made sure I got the controller finished. I got everything in good order. So basically feeding, she only has to I actually feed half a block to a full block of mysis shrimp every day, because there's, we've got quite a few people in here at the moment, and yeah, they do eat a lot, so because we don't want to make her come around every day, so we're going to do it every other day and just dunk a whole cube in. And I think over the 2 weeks that should be fine. I've got a webcam set up on the tank so I can keep an eye on everything anyway. And then in terms of topping the water up, we have huge containers of RO. We don't want her having to lift them up or pour them into jugs and all that sort of stuff. So I basically have set up this little simple manual system. So this pipe just goes into the tank there. The top of the pipe's out of the water because obviously I didn't want to create any siphon risk or anything. So yeah, it's a simple pipe, goes in here, sits at the bottom. That's just RO water that I got from Maidenhead Aquatics. Pipe goes into a manual hand pump. So this is just, you literally just squeeze the balloon. And then I added a little tap, the shut off valve, because I didn't think I'd need that. But when I was testing it, I stopped pumping, and I saw the water line was slowly creeping back down the tube. And if this gets drained, it doesn't really prime itself. You have to kind of block the other end of the pipe to prime it. And if there's no water in here, it just doesn't prime. So I added this valve so that when you're about to pump, you can turn it on and then pump the water in, and she can just watch until it gets up to the line, and then when she's finished, just shut the valve off, and that's it. As you can see, the water level's just staying there quite nicely. So yeah, that's about it really. I'm not sure on any plans for any new fish soon. I'm thinking possibly I want to look into damsels, just because they're really bright in colour and I want to add some more colour. And there's a few other things that people have recommended. If you want to recommend me something for this little setup, please do let me know. I just want colour really. I can't look at adding corals yet or an anemone because the lighting's just not good enough. I want to get something, some kind of smart lighting that does day cycles and stuff, because I'm really into that. I'm a bit nerdy, so I like things to look cool. And obviously be bright enough to support corals and things like that. So yeah, if anything changes, I'll post another video. Look out for the video on the temperature controller, because it's going to be really cool. And if it's just a really cool thing. Eventually I'm hoping to get it fixed up, so when we get a new cabinet and stuff, it will be fixed up on the back, so it will look the part and everything, and everything will be a bit more tidier than I don't like all these wires trailing around like this, but it'll do for the time being. So yeah, that's it. thanks for watching, and I'll probably post another video soon. See you later.